Thank you for joining us for the 2021 UAB National Alumni Society's annual meeting. Tonight, we have the opportunity to introduce the alumni who will serve on the 2021-2022 Executive Committee and Board of Directors. I'm Jennifer Breland, Assistant Vice President of Alumni Affairs and the Executive Director of the National Alumni Society. While we had hoped to host you in person, we made the decision to welcome you virtually for the second straight year. Since this is a virtual event, don't be surprised if something seems out of place or a technical issue pops up. If you experience any video or audio issues, click the reconnect button on the top of your screen, and this will get you back to the annual meeting right away. Tonight, we are excited to welcome Coach Bill Clark as our featured guest. Under Coach Clark's leadership, the Blazers have gone 40-22, won a conference record 3 straight West Division titles, won 2 CUSA championships, and have been bowl eligible every season. Coach Clark has won multiple Coach of the Year honors, and in 2018, the Blazers captured their first ever bowl win after defeating Northern Illinois in the Cheribundi Boca Raton Bowl. In a very unusual season, UAB finished 6-3 last fall and captured a second CUSA championship in 3 years. If you have questions for Coach Clark, please be sure to type them in the chat, and we have planned time after he speaks to be able to answer those questions. At this time, please welcome UAB head football coach, Coach Bill Clark.
Hey guys, hope everybody's doing good tonight. You know, it's always interesting to speak to the computer screen and know there's a big number of folks that are out there that care about UAB and what we're doing. And so as always, I'm in the middle of camp. And Jennifer and I, when we have this conversation about speaking to you guys, she knows it's crazy time for me. Obviously, you're keeping up with us and what's going on. And we're in the middle of practice right now, obviously. So we started really before everybody else in the country. You know, we open up on September 1st at the Crampton Bowl against Jacksonville State, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But it is camp, and camp is all day into the night. So I'll leave this meeting and we'll have another meeting. So I'm going to talk a little bit about camp and what that looks like, just to kind of give you an understanding of what our guys go through and how all that works and kind of where we are. Just reminders about, you know, the things we talk about, things we believe in. If you've heard me talk before, we always come back to our 3 basic tenets, which is 1, protect the team. And you know, the team really encompasses obviously everybody in our building. You know, when we talk about, you know, how we act, how we carry ourselves, how hard we play, but it's more than that. It's the people that help get us here. So, you know, for those players, that's their parents, their coaches, their hometown. But we specifically talk about you guys. You know, we talk about the people that fought for our program when our program was taken away from us, and you fought for us. So whether we're talking about you know, every coach here, every administrator here, everybody that works at UAB, everybody that's an alumni of UAB. We had probably about 150 of our old players come by last week and got to give them a sneak peek. We got to take them to the stadium. So I want our players to know who they're protecting when they go out and they work hard. They're working for this team. They're working for our community. They're working for you gues. Number 2 is to be ready. Which is to be prepared. You know, it's not just to show up on time, which obviously as a coach, that's a big deal for me, is that we're on time for meetings. We're on time for our job, which is how they're going to keep a job when they leave us, which is really what we're supposed to be here for, is to, you know, to help prepare them for the real world. But it's also to be prepared. And I think hopefully that's what you see out of our teams, that, you know, there's no detail that's too minute for us in how we prepare. So it's hard in college football to outwork other teams because everybody's working hard. It's important to everybody. You know, those games on Saturday are, you know, for us a Wednesday night, or, you know, they're judged by everybody and they're going to come back and judge it the next day. So there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of expectations. But we're going to try and be as prepared or more prepared than anybody in the country. So that's to be ready. So protect the team, be ready. You know, and number 3 for us is no excuses. You know, is just get it done. And so I think we've tried to say that since we got here in 2014. And then when we got the program shut down, we came back in 2017. We tried to keep it going. So that's kind of, as always, that's who we are. So let's kind of talk about this team. You know, we've got 12 guys that chose to stay and be what we're calling super seniors. So we've got guys that are seniors. We've got guys that are super seniors. We've got a lot of returners from last year's team. I will say we're not the only team that's like that in the country. There's going to be a lot of teams that have people returning, but we've got a great nucleus. I know as you keep up with us, you see these guys you've seen before, the Tyler Johnsons, the Hayden Pittmans, those guys that have been around for years, and we're thankful to have them for another year. So we had a terrific summer. We were a little beat up in the spring, but we've got everybody back. We've got a few guys that are nicked up right now, nothing major, but the leadership has been great. Our practices have looked like that. I had a NFL scout yesterday tell me, he said that's one of the best practices I've ever seen. Not necessarily always the best talent, even though I think we've got good talent. I hope that means how our guys work, how they treat each other, how we're prepared. That's a big deal to me. So that's what we've got to keep going as we get ready. And, we've got obviously all our stuff in the summer, just because it is competitive. We have to really, be careful in what we let out, for our opponents are looking for everything. So we've got a few scrimmages. Hopefully we can stay injury free and get better as we get ready for that Jacksonville State game on the 1st. We really truly have a killer schedule. Obviously for us, we talk about that bullseye, as I put it on my chest, it's UAB means something. It means something to us, but it means something to our opponents. And, when you've won 3 Western championships and 2 conference championships, people want to beat you, and of course, every win in college football is big, but especially when you're playing somebody that's done well. So Jacksonville State, my alma mater, it's going to be a war. I mean, we're playing in the Crampton Bowl, so it's a neutral site. We're going to need a great crowd there. We need to make that a home field advantage. We need you guys there. And they've got everybody back, and they played in the spring. They've got a great quarterback that was out academically, but he's back. They led Florida State for most of the game. They beat FIU last year, who's in our conference. So it's going to be a big game. And then we can just go through the list. Georgia, who's, in the top 5 in the nation, going there, probably at full capacity. We've got North Texas go there. We've got Tulane go there, who we beat the last time we played them. And then, we got the big game, October 2nd, Liberty, opening up our stadium, which is, I know you've seen all the pictures and the video, and it's as good as advertised. I mean, it is truly miraculous to get, to be a lifelong Alabama resident, and, to know how hard that was to put together. And, there was so many people that were part of this to make it happen, kind of like our program coming back. It was tons of folks that came together, and we talk about UAB, the city, the county, the state, the BJCC, all these folks came together to get this stadium. And we've had input. We've been able to put our stamp on it. You've seen the sign, Home of the Blazers, which is probably, I'm as proud of that as anything that it is. We know it's our home. There's no bones about it. It's that nice. There's not a bad seat in it. You're going to love it. And we got to make it a home field advantage. So, we need to pack it out. We need our we got to sell our tickets, and not just the Liberty game. So, that's the challenge we've put on all our folks, is we need them at the game. The tickets are very affordable, as you know. So if you got buddies, friends, let's get them there. So once again, back to the schedule, really tough, really challenging. I think our guys, that's what they want. It's not necessarily what I want as I lay awake at night and think about these games, but it is, I think as a competitor and as a team that's been successful, we want the challenge. We accept the challenge, and then we just got to keep preparing to do that. So, as I told the former players the other day, I can't promise you we're going to win every game, but I promise you we're going to work our butts off and be prepared and play hard. And, things for us that we're working on even more than ever is things like penalties and things that, not beating ourselves. So like I said, every detail is important. I will say once again that I'm super proud of this group and how they're preparing. Attitudes are great, like you would expect. Coaches have worked really hard. Once again, we had a great summer, and we're going to look up, and these games are going to start rolling. So we've just got some more work to do. But appreciate you guys. I'm fixing to open it up for some questions, but thank you for all your support. Obviously, as I say all the time, we didn't make this institution what it is as far as academically and where we're growing, and So we just, in athletics, we just ask for, your support. We need you at the games. Financial support for all of our programs are always important, but continue to support and be behind what we're doing. And we're going to try and put out a great product for you. So let's open it up for questions, at this time. And that's usually some of the most fun we have, is because it's kind of what do you want to hear about?
All right, Coach. So we've had a few come in. I'll just kind of go in the order they've come in. So we'll start with, will there be any kind of open house at Protective before the season starts? Would love to try to find our way around.
Say that again, Jennifer. I'm sorry.
Will there be any type of open house at Protective Stadium before the season starts?
Not that I know of. That's a good question. I think they're so busy trying to get insurance and all those things done. I can't really speak to that. I don't know of any, but I mean, I guess it's possible. So, of course, what I would say: buy the ticket for that October 2nd game and show up and get to see it. But maybe there is.
That's right. Okay, our next question is, what is the next step in getting guys drafted year in and year out?
Yeah, I really do believe there is there's a as your program does better, and you can have individuals, but as your program does better, and I think we heard this year from the Senior Bowl, even though we probably could go back to J.J. Nelson not getting in there and say politics, which I would agree with, but I think as your program does better, you get noticeable. And when those guys go and do well, like Darius Williams, who is, playing for the Rams, or Jordan Howard, or those guys do well, it's going to set it up for the next guys. That's what we need Jordan Smith to do. But, we've got obviously talent helps, but, I think development is a word we use around here all the time. I'm an old strength and speed guy. So, Coach Lyle Henley and our training staff and how we work. And I think when pro guys come in here, these scouts, and say, he goes to class, he shows up for meetings, obviously he's got to be a good player, but he does the things a professional needs to do. He loves the game. He's not going to get in trouble. All those side things that are so important. I think that's what they're looking for. And that's what I hear out of these pro scouts, our guys are going to understand all those things. So we just got to keep putting good people out there and keep putting a good product out there. And I think they're going to get their opportunities.
Great. Knowing you have a lot of talent returning, what are the biggest holes you have to fill on offense and defense?
Yeah, so, you can look at the places where we lost folks, like at receiver with Watkins and Myron Mitchell. And we had to go out and find some receivers. Obviously, you don't replace, a Spencer Brown. But we do have a deep running back room. We do have, a lot of depth at quarterback now, as far as guys that have played. You always go as the quarterback goes. But offensively, that receiver position is probably one. And then always trying to get better folks everywhere. Defensively, we got a lot of those guys back. We really didn't lose many. Obviously, we lost Jordan Smith, but we really got most of that group back. And the same things with our specialists, So we do have a lot of guys back, and then those guys where we added those new guys in, we need them to step up.
All right. How pumped is the team regarding Protective Stadium against Liberty?
Yeah, so we're looking forward to to getting in there here in a few weeks and getting a practice or two in. We're going to try and get a couple practices in, and I think just to get them to see it and let them go in that day was awesome. I go back to, I've told this story many times, after we had, I think, our 5th game canceled, Southern Miss canceled, like the day before the game or 2 days before the game, our guys were down. I mean, there was no bones about it. We were afraid we couldn't even be bowl eligible without enough, conference championship eligible without enough games. And we took them over there and put them in, I think that's the north end, the far end where Topgolf's at, and let them see it. And I really believe that's when a lot of our guys chose to stay and decide they wanted to be part of it. But they're super excited, and I think just getting a practice in there and getting a feel for it's going to make it that much better. But the big deal is going to be it's packed out, and it is that home field advantage. As we do the walk, I think right there by Texas Day Brazil, and we have people lined up there. That's going to be the real home field advantage that we need.
What can we do as alumni to help UAB in the next round of conference realignment?
Yeah, so for us, obviously, we don't talk about that we're unhappy with Conference USA, because they believed in us, but I think we're all looking for what makes our program better. And, we all have to look at the financial implications of TV revenue. I mean, that's just a fact of life. So once again, our job is to put the best product out there. I think we've done a really good job of facilities. If you just talked about football, I've got 2 goals over here, and one is I need a new practice field beside mine, and we need a nutrition center for all athletes. These are things we're working on. And then the simple one is to show up for the games, But I think we heard this from an expert in the field. We met on this the other day, Mark and I did, and it was, we're very viable for those type things, but we've got to do our job, continue to do our job. And, you just got to continue to grow, because that's what's going on around you. You got to grow your facilities. You've got to show up for games and put good products out there.
All right. Any breakout players to watch out for?
I don't really single guys out until they get out there. I will say this, if you look at the guys that just came in, we did take a few junior college guys and a few transfers. We're seeing good things out of them. They've acclimated to our group very well. And I love to hear from their parents and folks when they came in and kind of got to be around those guys as they were dropping them off and talk about what a family we have. But I think you're going to see those guys. I think we've really got a good group of freshmen, which is something that I'm excited about, is what we're seeing with this freshman class. Because that was kind of where we lost, really, when we had to go out and get so many junior college players, which was fine, and we handled it. But really getting those high school guys, especially local guys that that believe, have been well coached, as I know our Alabama coaches do such a good job with them, and it's really important to represent UAB in our community. So I think you're going to really like the guys we brought in.
How is it coaching this year with the most depth and arguably talent that a UAB football team has seen?
Yeah, and I think that's arguable. As I said, as I was looking at those guys that they've had in some of those past teams, they had some good talent. I think for us, top to bottom, we were probably better than we've been. And I think that's the thing I said, maybe if you look at number 85, 84, and so on, we have more depth. So we're going to see what these guys do. Every team is different in how they play together. But I will say, and I've said this all along, I'm excited because they've worked hard. They've done what we've asked them to do. So we'll see how we perform on the field.
All right. Any new traditions that you're aware of that will be initiated for the new stadium?
I think one of the big things we've talked about is what is our opening song. I really think that's going to be something cool, that we want to have something that gets our folks in the seats. That's something we've all talked about, that, what's like some of these other universities have something that gets them in. I'm sure we'll have, this something that'll kind of y'all find out later, but there's going to be something we do for our players behind the scenes, to do with a tradition that we'll be starting, new tradition for the players as they come in, that we want to keep on. But I think that we need something that gets everybody in their stands and because it's, it's going to be a cool scene outside, but we need them in their seats.
Do you know if in the new stadium we'll have the fire when we score?
I don't know that. I hope we do, but I don't know that. That's probably a better question for Mark.
All right. We'll hit him with that one when we pull him up in just a few minutes.
Put it on him.
Yeah. How do you think COVID is affecting the morale, especially if visitors will be limited to the stadium depending on COVID numbers? I don't think visitors are limited.
No, I think we're good at the stadium, hopefully everything continues that way, but I think we're good there. For us, we're not at 100% vaccinated, but, we had another group today, and then we're ticking that way. I think, just with all the good information we have here, that's the thing that's right in front of me, is making sure all my players and staff are vaccinated. We're heading in the right direction there. And, hopefully that's what's happening across the country. We just get more and more folks vaccinated.
Have the NIL changes impacted the program at all?
I think those are some things maybe we don't know. When you read this quarterback's got $1 million deal and this one, so I think that it's going to affect us down the road, and we're going to hopefully be able to respond with, just being in the economic center of the state of Alabama. That's what we're going to have to respond, and whether you like it or not, whether you believe in it or not, it's a reality. We've got some terrific kids. and we talk about team and family and unselfishness all the time, but at the same time, we've got, whether we're talking facilities or whatever, we've got to be able to keep up with other schools in recruiting and what they're offering to athletes. So those are some things that we are aware of. We've talked about, and but that's some things we're going to have to continue to grow in.
Can you talk specifically about what you're going to do about giving up 80 to 100 yards and penalties per game for the last 2 years?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I mentioned that, on the front. We do have some aggressive penalties. I could sit here and talk about officiating. That, I think if you watched us in the Marshall game, where I thought that game was officiated pretty well, it was a pretty even game between two aggressive teams. But, I would say this to anybody: there's penalties that are, that happen sometimes by aggressiveness. Then there's ones we've got to fix. Pre-snap penalties have got to be eliminated. We have worked hard on interference. That's one, that's like I told these guys, and there's a reason we've been 3 straight years top 10 defense in the country. And I don't mean this arrogant, but we know what we're doing. But you still get interference penalties. And so it's like a foul in basketball. You can say you didn't do it, but they still called it. So, what can we do to be better at that? And I think we've made a huge point of emphasis on top of the route, on not interfering, this is not, let's just say I was playing, it would not be UAB's penalty for jumping offside. It would be Bill Clark's penalty. So we're trying to take ownership as a player that, I committed that penalty, even though we as a team suffer for it. So, that's a good question. I think discipline is a big thing for me and us. So, we're going to try and eliminate that, but we don't want to lose our aggressiveness and how hard we play either.
Right. I'll give you just a couple more.
Okay.
How do you plan with and around recruiting and the transfer portal?
Yeah, I think it's something that, you first identify a need, and let's just say we needed a running back, so who is out there everywhere? Who's a high school, who's a junior college kid? Where are we on what we need to bring in, and then it's best available. And sometimes that's how the transfer portal affects you, And so the first question I have is, one, why is he leaving? Is it getting close to home? Is it playing time? So is this the kind of guy we want? Did he get in trouble? So we had to live in that world so much, when we started our program back with junior college kids. And I think how we discipline our guys and how we hold them accountable helps us. But, at the same time, what's the reason this guy's leaving? And there's a lot of good reasons, a lot of times it's just wanting to get closer to home, or maybe the guy in front of him is really, really good, yet he's still a guy that could help us. That's just something we always have to evaluate. I got time for one more.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up with this one. With the COVID waiver allowing players to return, are the roster scholarships still at 85? And how has that impacted your roster management?
Yeah, they are at 85. I think, it has impacted us because there's the guys you just didn't take that you would have. But, even next year, we're going to have some guys that can stay or choose to go. So we're going to, it's just a wait and see game on that. You can only sign 25 counters for now. We would have to project a few into a blue shirt, which I'd have to spend a long time talking to you about. So we'll just kind of see how it plays out with guys, because we'll have some guys that can stay next year extra.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you for spending some time with us tonight. We look forward to watching the team play this fall, including opening the new Protective Stadium on October 2nd against Liberty.
All right, guys.
So thank you, and have a great evening.
All right, go Blazers. See you guys.
So with all the excitement that we have around the new season just weeks away, and the Blazers moving into a new stadium, we've invited Athletic Director Mark Ingram to share a couple of remarks and let you know about ticket opportunities.
Hey, Jennifer. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate Coach Clark telling us all about the team. We got a great team coming back. We've had a terrific year. Even though that we've had plenty of challenges this past year with COVID and so forth, it was the most successful year athletically that we've ever had in school history. And so we're really proud of that. We also, our teams had a 3.23 GPA combined across our 400 student athletes. We're just so impressed with how they achieve on and off the field and court. and just excited about what's to come. I want to address a couple of things that Coach in the chat you guys asked. I thought I could add to, one of which being conference realignment. You know, the fact that Oklahoma and Texas are leaving the Big 12 is going to have a cascading effect on every school in the country, really. I mean, it's going to impact every single conference in some way. Once the Big 12 reacts to that decision and selects somebody else, whoever they select, it'll create a cascading effect through a lot of conferences, most likely our conference, and in some way impact us. And so the thing that we've been doing for the last 6 years or so is improving our facilities so that we can be the best version of us that we can be, right? We built that football practice facility. We're opening up Protective Stadium. We're currently under construction with a basketball practice facility, which is going to be great for those two teams, but it's also going to relieve a lot of pressure, volleyball, and how we schedule Bartow Arena. We built a beautiful track for our track team. We built a beautiful stadium for softball. We have what's considered to be the best on-campus soccer-only stadium in the country. And we've just really done some good things, and we've got to continue. We got to get better in baseball. I'm just going to tell you, our baseball facilities are not what they need to be. We recently hired Casey Dunn. We're excited about that. He comes across town from Samford after being there for 17 years. And we've got a great lineup of coaches, as good as we've ever had, with Coach Clark and Andy Kennedy and Casey and a number of others who are excited about, what the future has in store for the Blazers. And the other thing that we need to do in addition to our facilities, which demonstrates the university's interest in being successful, is we got to fill that stadium, and we got to fill Bartow Arena. We got to prove that we have got true fan support. And so if you do not have your season tickets, please get them now. You can get them for as low as $75 for a season ticket to get into that stadium. And I mean, it is gorgeous. I do believe this, and I think our Blazer fans should feel this way and talk about Protective Stadium this way. It might be the nicest college football stadium in the country. It is that good. I went through it with our Chancellor St. John today. I mean, he was blown away and so impressed with how nice it is. And you can't help but be in awe of it when you walk through. And so I'm so excited for all of you to see it. I'm so excited for, yes, October 2nd, but not just the 2nd. I'm excited for the whole season and what it has in store for our fans. We built the practice facility, and we opened it up in the summer of 2017, just before our first football game. And that was for our players. That's where they spend every day. That's what we recruit to. That's where they train and get better and ultimately yield results. This stadium is for you. The Protective Stadium is for you. It's for Birmingham. It's for our fan base. And I just can't wait for all of you to see it. But we got to have you there. So if you would consider getting season tickets, or maybe you've got a business that would do a corporate outing and bring a big group to a game, or maybe buy a block of tickets for business to be shared by employees. These are all helpful. Being able to demonstrate to anybody that we are that we have a fan base that is excited about the program, and that we didn't just build a stadium that's going to sit empty. Because this is something that we think is just an incredible facility for the city of Birmingham and the state of Alabama, and it's just going to be a wonderful centerpiece for Birmingham. And I'd be happy to take questions, Jennifer, from anybody as well, if there's questions in the chat or anybody has anything that I maybe didn't touch on.
So we'll give them a minute to put any questions in the chat that they have, but I'll get you to address a couple of things that came up in earlier questions. There was the question about fire in the stadium when we score. Will that be able to be continued?
Yeah, so I love the fire too. One of the things that we were talking about it as recently as Tuesday is where to put it. If anybody, when we were at Legion Field, we could put it in the end zone seating area, and there wasn't anybody near it. And I can tell you, it is shockingly hot. And from a big distance, it can't just be, a few feet away from people. It is incredibly hot. So finding a place right now is what we've been doing, is looking for where could we locate this to do it. I loved having it, and I think all of our fans loved having it. So we're exploring that, hoping that we can continue that. I know we're going to continue doing it with our team intro, because we can put it down on the field and keep it away from a safety perspective, keep it away from our fans. But we got to find a safe place to do it.
And then there was another question about spirit walks or the spirit walk, and for us to be able to show support of the players. Do you want to talk a little bit about what the path that spirit walk will take and what that'll look like?
Yeah, that's great. Blazer Walk will start 2 hours before kickoff. When you're down in Uptown, it starts at Eugene's Hot Chicken, if you're familiar with where that is. And the Blazer Walk will go from Eugene's. It'll go straight through the Uptown. There's like a pedestrian overpass at Uptown through that business district, straight through that plaza, straight in through the south gate of the stadium and into the stadium. So I'm really excited about it. I love the pathway, and should be a place where we can get a lot of fans there to cheer on the team and really give them a hero's welcome as they get into the stadium. So I hope everybody will show up for that too.
All right. Okay. We're going to jump sports for just a second. One question is, what's on the roadmap for baseball facilities?
Yeah, we've got to, I mentioned that, I had a great meeting with Casey and about, 60 or 70 people Tuesday night who were enthusiastic about baseball. And I went through just talking about all of our facilities and how we are, where we are. It's not that baseball isn't important. We've been doing things. It's like, what do they say? You can't eat the apple in one bite, right? You got to take it in slices. And that's what we've been doing. And baseball is absolutely something we've got to fix. We've got to improve the stadium. We've talked about putting artificial turf on the field so that we can avoid weather issues. The seating area is not acceptable for our level of play. Conference USA is one of the best baseball conferences in the country. It's easily, it is actually Conference USA's best sport. We had 4 Conference USA teams go to regionals last year, and 2 of them were 1 seeds. So, it's a really tough baseball conference. And Rice, who's usually in it, wasn't even one of those 4. So we've got a lot of opportunity there, and we'd like to take advantage of it. It's a great sport for this area. It's a very popular sport in the state of Alabama, but we absolutely have the worst facilities in our state right now in baseball. The locker room needs improvement. We've put together a clubhouse project, which is locker rooms and offices for both baseball and softball that would be out at the fields. It's about a $4 million project. We've raised about half of that money, but we got some work to do to finish that off. We're one meeting away from getting it approved by the board. There's a 4-phase process of approval through the board. They've approved the first 3. Now it's just the funding. So once we get the funding, we can break ground on that and get going. And that would be a big lift to improve our locker facilities for both of those teams, but more so baseball, really. But yeah, we've got to improve both the locker room situation and the stadium.
Okay. I'm going to jump us back to football. Can you talk a little bit about parking? And is there a place to drop off that the question says it's not complete, but I guess drop off those with disabilities maybe? Is there, I'm sure there'll be options for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Both great questions. There are 7,000 parking spaces around Protective Stadium. I think the key is when you buy your tickets, go ahead and get a parking pass. Go ahead and get your season-long parking pass so you know where you're going to park. You can avoid, that driveway anxiety, and we will give you instructions from where you live on the best route to that parking lot so that you're not, circling around the stadium trying to figure out where to park. There's going to be streets that are blocked off, one ways, and that kind of thing. So we want you, the best thing you can do is in advance, even a single game. If you just buy single game tickets, you can buy a single game parking pass as well. Go ahead and get it. Go ahead and get it in advance so you know where you're going, and we can give you the instructions. That'll help with traffic. It's going to be critical for our first couple of games that people go early. It's new for everybody, right? The highways are new. Those overpasses are new. There's new ramps. This is all new for everybody. And to avoid really frustration, we all need to do that in these first couple of games until we really have a good handle on our surroundings. And as far as drop off, yes, there's a great little drop off right at the press box where you can pull in and drop anybody that has a disability or an accessible need of any kind. You can drop them off right at the front door, and they can walk in at main concourse level and go right to their seats with no problem.
Excellent.
It's on the west end of the stadium.
Great. Now, this question was also brought up to Coach Clark, but you may have a little more insight on this. Any tour opportunities prior to the first game at the stadium?
You know, I was on when Coach was speaking, and I wondered how he would answer that. And he actually did a good job with it. What we're doing right now is we're waiting on, you know, the stadium is owned by the BJCC, the Birmingham Jefferson Convention Center. They're trying to get their certificate of occupancy, which they're hoping to get by, call it around September 1st. So we can't do any large group events until then. And so until they get that, we've been tentative to, you know, to really plan anything, because if we did, we may have to cancel it because they don't have their certificate of occupancy. The stadium, as I said, I was there earlier today. It looks like you could play in it tomorrow, almost. I mean, it's really that close. So I feel great about where we are. And I am glad that we went ahead and planned the first game in Montgomery to give us just a little breathing room. What I was afraid of, Jennifer, is that you and your staff and me and our whole athletic department will be out there. We'd have Tammy Thomas with a push broom out there trying to clean it up, you know, while people were walking in the door. And I didn't want that. I'm glad that we ultimately pushed the schedule the way that we did. But it's really close, and it's beautiful.
Great. I'm going to wrap us up with one more question. Do you want to talk about some of the provisions for tailgating that will be available?
Yeah, there's a lot of great tailgating options. Again, I mentioned there's a lot of parking. There's going to be there's a rooftop parking area on the garage that is behind the Westin Hotel. There's what we designed is the rooftop of that with extra large spaces. You can reserve those spaces there. You can tailgate in what we're calling the green parking area. It's a brand new lot just south of Topgolf. That's a big open air lot. So talk to our Blazer Booster staff, and they could give you all the options. Those are two quick ones off the top of my head. There's a couple of lots that are on the west side of the BJCC as well where you could tailgate. So really good options for anybody. I mean, you know, this is more like a college campus really in this setting than what we had at Legion Field, because you know, if you think about going to a game on a college campus, you might park at the business school or the College of Arts and Sciences or whatever around campus and then walk through campus to the stadium. That's what this is going to be like. You're going to park in a garage or a parking lot a block away and you'll walk to the stadium. But we've got some really good options that I would say are all within 1 to 2 blocks walking of the stadium. We're really fortunate.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for taking a little bit of time with us tonight to tell us about some of these new things.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Well, while we're talking about football, I want to let all of you know about 2 special opportunities we have available through our office. First, we invite you to get ready for all UAB's home football games with us. Be a part of our 2021 pregame tailgate experience on the rooftop of the Southern Kitchen Bar. Each pass includes rooftop tailgating for all 5 home games, food catered by the Southern Kitchen, 2 drink tickets each game for those that are 21 and older, a bird's eye view of Blazer Walk, easy access to Blazer Village and Protective Stadium, and a set of the game day buttons. You get all of that for only $250 per pass, which is only $50 per game. Register at alumni.uab.edu/tailgate. We also have an option for payroll deduction and payment plans for alumni purchasing multiple passes. Additionally, why not let us help get you game day ready? For the 2nd year in a row, we're offering our alumni a spirit box. Each box includes an 8.5-inch mini commemorative football, a green EFEL t-shirt, white collector's cup with an image of the new stadium, and a UAB pennant magnet. You can order your 2021 Spirit Box starting at only $40. And don't forget about our popular game day buttons. You can get a set of 5 buttons for $15. We'll have a limited number of buttons available on game day, but by securing your buttons beforehand, you can make sure you get a complete set. Visit alumni.uab.edu/spiritbox to order your Spirit Boxes and game day buttons. At this time, I'd like to turn things over to Ryan Robinette, current president of the UAB National Alumni Society.
Thank you, Jennifer. And as we continue, please allow me to recognize and welcome past NSA presidents that are joining us this evening, as well as current and former board and young alumni council members. Tonight, you will get introduced to the upcoming board of directors that will serve the NAS starting October 1st. But first, we would like to reflect on the past year. Since March 2020, things have been very different for us, but the NAS didn't quit engaging with our alumni. At this time, Greg Berry, Assistant Director of the UAB Office of Alumni Affairs, will share some highlights from the past 15 months.
The sights and sounds of the National Alumni Society have sure changed over the last 500 days. It's hard to believe that 1 year and 4 months ago, campus fell silent. Gone were all the fall tailgates, regional events, and Blazer Splash, our student water balloon fight. Basically, everything came to a pause thanks to the global pandemic. But then,
the interesting thing that is related to this person's question,
the NAS started showing life.
If you prioritize self-care,
but not in traditional ways.
Since we're virtual, please excuse any glitches or things that may seem out of place.
No, we pivoted to engage our alumni virtually. On April 20th, 2020, we debuted our first virtual offering, a series of 3 discussions about COVID-19. But we didn't stop there. From Hamilton the musical, the webinar,
magnificence of Lin-Manuel Miranda's art that so many people have signed up,
to building a charcuterie board.
Next, I'm going to do the crackers.
We have been able to reach around 3,500 alumni and friends through our virtual events, while averaging just under 3 webinars each month. And that wasn't it. We've raised more than $8,000 for scholarships simply by including an optional donation field to our registrations.
We'd like to present.
Despite not being able to meet in person, we have still celebrated the success of many alumni.
Hey everybody, my name's Adam Aldridge.
My name is Ronald Bales.
I'm Dr. Sheva Shannon.
That includes the 2020 and 2021 UAB Excellence in Business Top 25 Awards that feature dozens of alumni who own or lead their businesses. The 2020 Alumni Awards, which honored Kate and Claude Nielsen, Dr. Doreen Harper, Dr. Benjamin Cumbus, Dr. Eric Wallace, and Tammy Thomas. And the 2020 Rising Star Awards, which recognized Dr. Amin Bargi, Dr. William Bates, Dr. Casey Daniel, Jessica Lopez, and Erica Rucker. Since the start of the pandemic, we have hosted 2 scholarship runs presented by Viva Health and last fall's Uncork Education. Despite modified formats for both events, support from them brought in nearly $160,000. Add to that the sales from our homecoming boxes, Valentine's fundraisers, sale of leftover beer glasses, and sponsorship of the Top 25 Awards, the amount we have been able to generate to go toward student scholarships tops $200,000. That's $200,000 that will help students like these.
My name is Neha Balachandran.
My name is Xavier Turner.
Hey, I'm Courtney Zajic.
My name is Karthik Reddy.
Last fall, we recognized the scholastic achievements of more than 120 current students, handing out upwards of $250,000. Not bad, considering we were still in a global pandemic.
Despite being limited in many ways, the NAS stayed busy providing alumni successful programming that engaged alumni in areas we haven't been able to do so before. This allowed us to try new things and learn lessons that we'll be able to implement moving forward. The virtual component is here to stay. Our virtual and in-person events are important to us as we continue to offer you programming that is of interest, relevant, and meaningful to you. Last October, it is important to note Last October, it is important to note that the National Alumni Society made a big transition. For years, the NAS had been a dues-based alumni association. Starting last fall, that changed. On October 1st, 2020, we eliminated dues and became a more inclusive organization that belongs to all of our alumni. Now, all graduates, past, present, and future, will automatically enroll as members. On behalf of the National Alumni Society, thanks for your support as we journey through a difficult 2021 year. At this time, I call the 42nd annual meeting of the UAB National Alumni Society to order. As stated in the bylaws, each year alumni can vote electronically for the election of officers and directors of the NAS. Each ballot allows for up to 2 write-in candidates. I would like to invite Dr. Jennifer Breland to provide the results of the election for the 2021-2022 National Alumni Society officers and directors.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. This year, the election window was open from May 1st through May 31st, 2021. As stated by the bylaws, alumni with active email addresses on file in the UAB Office of Advancement were sent election information to vote. The following individuals were selected by the Board Nominating Committee, confirmed by the Board of Directors, and elected by our alumni to serve as the 2021-22 officers and directors of the UAB National Alumni Society. The 2021-22 UAB National Alumni Society Board of Directors will be President, Ms. Tammy Thomas, immediate past President, Mr. Ryan Robinette, President-elect, Dr. Kathy Amos, Vice Presidents, Mr. Armand Carter, Mr. Perry Herndon, Mr. Sam Miller, and Ms. Sherry Robinson. Treasurer is Dr. Deanne Summerall. Secretary, Dr. Jennifer Breland. Elected directors to serve 2021 to 2024 are Dr. Johnny Bates, Dr. Hillary Beeson, Mr. Marlon Chambers, Mr. Lucas Gambino, Ms. Jamie Jean Grosso, and Dr. Chung Hao Kao. Returning directors are Ms. Kathy Boswell, Mr. James Camel, Mr. Tony Caesar, Mr. Chris Hackney, Dr. James Kilgore, Dr. Bernardo McMillan, Mr. Scott Moran, Mr. Terrence Moultrie, Dr. Douglas Ragland, and Dr. Shilpa Register. These positions and individuals on the board will be effective October 1st, 2021. Ryan, you're muted.
I was just going right along. It sounded great. So thank you, Jennifer. That concludes the business portion of our annual meeting. At this time, I would like to turn the program over to Tammy Thomas, the current president-elect.
Hi, good evening. As Ryan mentioned, I am Tammy Thomas, the incoming president of the UAB National Alumni Society Board of Directors. As president, I'm very excited about the upcoming year, and I look forward to working with the alumni introduced as members of the upcoming board. Thank you to everyone who is able to join us tonight, and thank you for your support of NAS. Before closing, let me take a moment to share our gratitude for Ryan's tenure on the board. Ryan has been a member of the board since being elected as a director in 2014. The images you see here are from his 7 years on the board, and as you can see, he has not aged. Ryan, thank you for your leadership during this very interesting time due to COVID. We certainly appreciate your dedication and spirit that you have brought to your role as a member of the board, and thank you for your guidance and your service.
Thank you all very much.
So once again, I would like to thank everyone who attended tonight's virtual annual meeting. Be sure to check out upcoming alumni events at alumni.uab.edu/events. Also, follow us on social media, and do not forget to take UAB with you wherever you go with UAB Green and Told podcast. We look very forward to seeing you soon. Good night and go Blazers.